Alright, now that we have covered the initial setup plus the interactions, you already know how to create your first instance of the visual and how to work with it. Now it's time to move on to the formatting options so you know how to style it. In this video, we're going to be covering the Legends block plus the Display Units tab, and I'm also going to explain to you how sorting is done within the time series. As always, within the sample report, you have your main view where you can see all the options available for you, and you already have some pre-configured ones. Now, what we're going to be doing is going to the training view and actually building everything from scratch. So first things first, let's add an instance of the time series visual, resize it so it fits more nicely, disable the background and title, and go back to the setup. As for the setup, we're going to add new date as our date field, and we're going to add two payouts. We're going to add payouts analytics and payouts development. So these two series, I'm going to also just customize briefly. So I'm going to change the type from column to area for both of them. So series 2 also change this to an area. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to stack them so that I can show you multiple legends. There we go. Now, going to the legends, if you go under the formatting options and find legends, you can see that by default, this option is disabled. So it's something that you have to enable manually if you want to have legends within the visual. Once you enable them, you can also open up the tab and see additional options there. You can customize firstly the position, so you can choose top, bottom, left, or right, depends on the use case. Then afterwards, you have your height and width percentages, so you can adjust how much of the container does the block actually take, marker sizes, marker shapes, and of course the font styling options. Now, for the marker shapes, there is one specific thing that I wanted to show you, and that is that by default, what we're doing is we're taking a snapshot of the series. Just to display this a little bit better, I'm going to go back to the series customization, and I'm going to adjust the fill color opacity. So right here, I'm going to make it 20%. So now you can see that the purple area that we had has a darker outline. And if you look at the legends, that's what it's being displayed as. So it is a great way to allow your users to follow through what series is represented with which legends. Now, if you want a more, let's say, traditional way of seeing the legends, you can easily go back to the legends block itself. And right here, for marker shapes, instead of using default, you can just choose one of the options available. So for example, you can see that as soon as I set it as square, both legends transition to squares, and they don't take in effect any formatting options from the series. Now, next thing is going to be the data sorting. The reason why I wanted to cover it in this video is because I just want you to understand that the time series visual is built on a calendar, which means that there are no additional data sorting options available for you. It's always going to go from the earliest date to the latest date. And that is the only option of how you can display data within the time series visual. Now, as far as the display units go, we're going to close the Legends tab right here and open up display units. Now, first things first. The first thing that you can change is initial display unit. What this allows you to do is define the initial granularity for the visual when you first load in the chart. This is going to be done when you open up the report itself or you switch between the pages. By default, it's always going to be sitting on auto, meaning that the chart is trying to find the best granularity for the size of the visual that you have available. But you can easily also, for example, switch it to something else. Let's say I'm going to switch it to quarters. So now, when I switch between the pages and I go back to the training view, you can see that the granularity of the time series has been adjusted. So it is just a great way on how you can also control the granularity for the initial load, like I said. Now, let's go back to the display units. And last but not least is going to be the options of different units that you can enable within the visual. So if you scroll down a bit more, you can actually see that we have a lot of custom time units. Things like decades, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, and so forth. And if you go down to timeline, you can actually see that we have also options for hours, 6 hours, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and so forth. So essentially, the way how it works is if you want to have one of these time units available for you, you have to enable it. If you want to disable it, just simply turn off the toggle. So for example, let's say I don't want to go through quarters, or let's actually say I don't want to go through weeks, right? So I'm going to disable weeks. Now, if I zoom in into one of the timelines, so for example, August, you can see that instead of a weekly view, I'm going straight to the day view. So this is the way on how you can define and customize the hierarchy. So this is going to be it for the legends, display units, and sorting options, and I'll see you in the next video.